My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Cramerica. Other people make friends. I'm just trying to make you a little money. My job is not just to entertain, but to educate, teach, put this one in perspective. So call me at 1-800-743-CNBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. The market got decked today. Dow plummeting 433 points, S&P plunging 1.14%, NASDAQ nosediving 1.24%. But given the COVID surge and the collapse of President Biden's huge Build Back Better bill, I think it's a marvel we didn't take even more of a beating. And we were able to come back rather convincingly from the midday lows. The oddly named Build Back Better bill could have given the economy some much-needed stimulus, perhaps something we need now that the Fed's tapping the brakes and the previous stimulus packages are well in the rearview mirror. The reign of COVID, now in its Omicron phase, although Delta is very much still out there, is doing a number on our collective psyche, although you wouldn't know it from the boffo Spider-Man box office numbers this very weekend. Before I go overboard saying things could have been worse, let me explain the less than precarious state we find ourselves in. Get that? Less than. This is a state where I think you need to stay the course, even doing some buying, as we did for my charitable trust, where, of course, you can see all of our moves before we make them if you join the CNBC Investing Club. Yep, I think this is a keep calm and carry on moment. I'm going to tell you why. First, by now, look, we're no strangers to COVID. Those of us who've chosen to embrace the fear going maximum vaccination now accept that it may not be enough to ward off the pandemic, this time in the form of the Omicron variant. I know I sure couldn't. I went to a party last week, Monday, a party filled with people who had negative PCR tests that very day, and I still caught it. I made the mistake of not wearing a mask. I let my guard down because everyone had been tested that very day, same day, so I felt secure. Why should not? What I didn't realize is the Omicron strain may be 70 times more contagious than Delta. That puts it in the same league as measles, where one kid would get it, and then the outbreak would spread to the whole class that same day. I didn't know I'd caught Omicron until Thursday. I like to use, well, the Abbott's Binax Now test. And that morning I tested negative. Then I had a bit of laryngitis during the show, nothing new for me, as I typically lose my voice 3 or 4 times a year. But this time I stood down from Thursday night's taping and used a Binax Now to test myself. Well, sure enough, when the show concluded, there were these telltale 2 lines, and my heart sank. I mean, that's a genuine sample from this morning, and I knew what awaited me and feared for my terrific teammates until we get an all clear. Fortunately, probably because I've had 3 Moderna doses, the last one being a full dose, the pain and tiredness and raw throat didn't last past Saturday. I've been on the road to recovery ever since. Thank you for all the well wishers today. Unfortunately, I tested positively again today, so there's no return to the office. I feel terribly for those who are fighting for their lives from this disease, but I'm so grateful for the vaccines, even as I tire of telling people it's worth getting vaccinated. We may soon be in the you're on your own pal moment here, where we all have to accept the personal risk. Although the unvaccinated who go to the hospital might not have taken that much needed bed if they had just gotten jabbed, they think I'm preaching. I think I'm teaching. However, if Omicron does become the dominant strain, many people think that could be a given, then infected people, well, they can't tell when they've gotten sick. Unless we're all triple vaccinated, we may not be able to avoid another dangerous situation where the hospitals get overloaded. And that is the biggest concern at this point. Hospitalization. Forget the caseload number. They don't mean anything anymore. It's hospitalizations. Now, we'll have Dr. Eric Topol on the show later tonight. He is our favorite COVID expert. But in my experience, as long as you're triple vaccinated, getting Omicron may not be as hazardous to your health as you thought. That's a positive one that isn't baked into the averages. I like it. How about the future of Biden's massive spending bill? First, it was obvious this legislation was going nowhere for the off-year elections last month, so I'm not sure who's left to be surprised. The Democrats never had the votes to pass a major expansion of the social safety net, but a lot of people do seem surprised. So we'll treat this as real news. What's it mean for the market? We can call it a decidedly mixed blessing, or maybe even a mixed curse. On the one hand, if there's anyone out there who still seriously cares about the budget deficit, well, they got a lot less to be worried about. For Main Street, though, the collapse of this bill is a real pity because it could have helped a lot of people who are disenfranchised. It would have given the economy a boost. But the economy is already a little overheated, so maybe that's not that positive. At the same time, there were some provisions in this thing that would have hurt particular industries. Pharma has to be happy because the government won't be using its heft to negotiate lower drug prices. That's why I've been recommending drug stocks. Stay tuned. I've got more on that later. Other industries are hurting, though. The electric vehicle tax breaks are gone. Good for Tesla because they wouldn't qualify, but bad for the rest of the industry. And that group got crushed today. Solar stocks, also another nasty session. So what do? All right, first, yes, we do stay the course. No need to dump your stocks here. In fact, we added to our positions for my charitable trust. We got a lot of cash. We put some of it to work. Now, remember, we did some selling near the highs. We get you the bulletin so you know that. I'm not too worried because there's no systemic risk here. And even the non-systemic risk is something we've already dealt with. Second, we need to pick stocks opportunistically. This was day one of the sell-off when everything goes down indiscriminately, although you did get buyers of the consumer products companies coming in at the end of the day. That is not unusual. On day two, the slowdown stocks start to gain strength. Think healthcare and consumer packaged goods plays. So you might want to pick some of those up, particularly in the healthcare category. That's what we were doing today. You also have to expect a rebound in some of the mega tech names, which were some the ones that bounced earliest last time we had COVID. More on that later. Their case will be bolstered by the great numbers from Micron that came after this close. I think that Micron's a good stock. You know I like the semis. You may even see a bounce, by the way, in some retail names tomorrow because you know what? Wonder of wonders, Nike reported a good number tonight, too. Boy, that stock had been straight down. Third, remember that historically tomorrow marks the beginning of the Christmas rally we talked about. Well, Santa Claus, Christmas, ecumenical, whatever. That, I don't mean to make, some people call it the Santa Claus rally, some people call it the Christmas rally. I'm trying to include let's say a melting pot here. And we're using Larry Williams, the legendary technician and market historian, to help us. For the last 20 years, Santa Claus has showed up almost without fail. I know we've got some unique circumstances this year, but I wouldn't bet against the Santa Claus rally year. It's got very bad odds to bet against the rally or to bet against Larry Williams. Now, I don't think we've heard the last of the Build Back Better either. There will be another slimmed-down version that moderate Democrats like Joe Manchin will be willing to endorse. Come on, it's Washington. They always figure it out. I mean, not that they do it right. You got to keep in mind that the Democrats have the narrowest possible margin in the Senate, which means it only takes one guy to hold the whole caucus hostage. I also believe that after Christmas, the port situation will be, let's say, lessened, and some raw costs will come down, making the market more palatable. Hey, by the way, oil came down big today. Now, I don't want to just say it's a bad market, like it's some sort of bad football team. It takes a very long time for a franchise to make a turn. Lots of good draft picks, some fresh coaches at the helm, a lot of luck. The stock market, on the other hand, can turn on a dime. So you need to be on the lookout for stories about how the Omicron strain isn't particularly damaging as long as you're vaccinated and boosted. The bottom line, as more people realize they won't have to go to the hospital or take a few days off if they get sick, again, assuming they've got their shots, I expect the market to be able to mount a comeback. Let's take some calls. Let's go to John in my home state of New Jersey. John!
Hi, Jim. I have a two-part question for you regarding the fintech company SoFi. Given your expertise, when do you think the company will be approved for the bank charter? And do you think it has bottomed out with the recent 40% decline?
I think it's bottomed out because I think that they got rid of all those insider sellers, and I don't know exactly when the charter is going to come because the government's quite fickle. But I do think at these levels, SoFi at 14 is a buy. Let's go to Andrew in California. Andrew.
Yeah, hey Jim. Hope you're feeling better. My
I am. Thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, my question is on running. Just had their best quarter ever, and it seems like everyone loves their shoes. Given their stellar balance sheet and continued growth, do you have any reason to believe the stock shouldn't move any higher? And any concerns with the high competition in the athleisure market, and of course the ongoing supply chain challenges?
Well, look, I think this is a great question because what it says is that in another market, before the Fed started its decision to tighten, this would have been the one to own. Now we got to go with Nike, even up 5 from where it was after a terrific quarter this very evening. Now, I know it was a brutal day, but you know what? It could have been much worse. This is a keep calm and carry on moment. I think the market is going to bounce back because I think Santa is coming to town. And he's going to give us a couple extra points. All Man Money tonight. Stocks slid today as Omicron fears intensify. What do? Well, we sit down with Dr. Eric Topol, to help make sense of the COVID surge. Then kicking off the new year with a breakup, I'm circling back to stocks that are splitting up to unlock value and telling you if they could be worth considering heading into 2022. And digital currencies have been around for a while now, but 2021 was the year the wider crypto world made its mark. I'm sitting down with a visionary in the space, and by the way, and not an angry guy, FTX's Sam Bankman-Fried, not arrogant like the rest of the guys that I've had to interview about this. We're going to find out what the new year means for the cryptocurrencies, so stay with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.